Well, the economy is still tumultuous. Is your job safe? Well, geez, I don't know. I don't even know if my job is safe. My name is Mark Farrell. This is Frequency on 1019 RXP, New York's Rock Experience. My guest today is Rafe Gomez. You probably heard his name. He's on all the talk shows, on a TV talk show circuit in the morning. He's come out with a great new strategy. What's in it for me is his audiobook on his website, and he is kind of touted as the Rehirement coach. Hey, Rafe, how you doing, my friend?
Mark, thank you for having me, my man. I'm glad to be here.
My pleasure, because, hey, who knows if I'll be out on the street.
Exactly. Well, it's true. We're in a crazy economy, man. We are in a crazy world, and you think it could be about your performance and if you're doing a great job and you're meeting expectations, but then you get that pink slip and it makes absolutely no sense. So the process of being unemployed, it's this whole list of, it's like the 7 stages of grief, or 6 stages. There's guilt, there's fear, there's anger. How could I let this happen to me? How did I not see this coming? So then when it comes time to, and you have to work through that. You have to get through that process. And I was out of work for 1.5 years, and I know how horrible that is, economically, emotionally, to you, yourself, and to your family. But at a certain point, you have to face, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to remedy this? Because you have to. For your sake.
Now, did you find for yourself during that 1.5 year period that the conventional methods just did not work?
That's exactly what I found.
Was this
Sure.
prior to the actual collapse of the economy?
It was prior, but the reason why I lost my job was economics. It had to do with shifts in the overall economy and a desire for the company that I was doing work with. They wanted to gain more profit with what they were doing.
Something new and original.
Yes, exactly. So, and I was on the receiving end of that. But here's where I started making the mistakes. And this is what I learned from the conventional interview experts out there. The experts would have us believe that it's all about you. That it's all about what you've done, your accomplishments, your credentials, and your experience. And if you have a strong resume, and if you go into an interview and you pretty much say, hey, here's what I'm about, here's what I can do you have a job? I thought that. I had a great resume. And I was going from interview to interview to interview, and I couldn't get anything. No one was interested to the point where they would make me an offer. And I started realizing, I'm not the smartest guy, but I can follow directions, and I'm listening to what these people are telling me.
And you can count yourself well.
Yes, it didn't work.
So what were the responses you were getting?
Very nice, not right now, nothing available.
Were they satisfied with your track record?
Yeah, sure, it was fine. There was nothing wrong with...
Did you find yourself like ahead of the crowd or on par with
I
everyone
had
else?
some very impressive credentials. I had some very impressive experience. But what I found was it didn't matter. In this economy, it mattered not one stitch. So I had to think, what is wrong with this approach? I then went back, because I had done some hosting on QVC. I went back and I thought about what helped me as a salesperson on QVC. I was selling CDs at 5 a.m, selling tens of thousands of dollars worth of CDs. How can this happen? Why was I able to do this then, but in this interview process, I'm not really gaining any traction?
Interesting analogy.
Well, I was trying to figure out what was I doing wrong. And I realized that I was following a sales strategy taught by a guy named Lee Boyan. Lee Boyan is a sales trainer. He trains salespeople around the world. And he boiled down the sales process to 3 areas. I call them closing triggers. He said, you can sell something to someone if your product or service will make them money, will save them money, or will improve the quality of the image of their company.
Or life.
Right, exactly. Or life, if you're selling to consumers. So I thought, you know what? I should take this and try it in the interview. I shouldn't talk a stitch about me. I shouldn't mention one thing about me. I should say, okay, company I'm speaking to, I've done the research about you. I've learned about what you're trying to achieve. Here is what I can do to make you money, to save you money, or improve the image of your company in the marketplace. And Mark, it worked instantly. The minute I started doing this, I got a new job. And I am now the host of a nationally syndicated rock show called Rock Mix. It's with Citadel Media. And this happened in an economy that's challenged, in an industry, radio, that's very challenged, but it worked because I didn't talk about me. I talked about them. It's like if you were going on a blind date and all that happened was the person was talking about themselves. You'd be looking at the clock thinking of how you can get out of there. But if they're talking
Unless she was really hot.
super hot, smoking scorching hot, then you'd put that off till the second date.
So I imagine when you were doing this pitch to Citadel, you were talking to someone in sales, so you knew you had it going on.
I had
you could
to
sell them.
because, and then the title of my audiobook gets back to what's going on in the person's head who you're speaking to. If you're speaking to a job interview, every word you're saying, they're thinking, what's in it for me? Why should I hire you? Why
And
should
how am I
work
going to
with you?
look good by hiring this person?
Yes. How are you going to help me achieve my goals? Because if you think about it, companies don't have interviews for the fun of it. They don't do it to fill the day with something to do. It's not some charitable endeavor. They have a goal.
Unless the EOE requirements come into play.
That's true. But then again, that's not monitored, so you never know. But they have a goal. They're trying to achieve something. They're being challenged. They have something they're trying to implement. They're expanding. So when you're talking to a job interviewer and talking about how you're such a wonderful worker, you've got this great resume, I really need this job, all they're thinking is, what's in it for me? Why should I do that? Why should I hire you? You're coming to me needy. You're coming to me with your needs. I have needs. How will you help me achieve my needs? And that's what I talk about in the audiobook. I explain a strategy. This is the first job interview strategy specifically designed for this economy. And what you need to do if you really want that job, you don't go in as a job candidate. As a job candidate, you have needs. You need the check. You need the job. You go in as a solution. Because that's what the interviewer is looking for. They need a solution to their goals and their problems. And if you do that, if you can say, this is what I've done in my career, and this is how it can help you, and I will help you, I can help you achieve exactly what you need now. That's irresistible. Everyone who comes after you, who is going in as a job candidate, the interviewer is thinking, okay, I've found my person. This isn't a game changer. This is a game ender. I have found my all-star. I don't need to speak to anyone else. So it's all about changing that mindset. It's going in with that confidence, not artificial puffed up confidence, but the confidence knowing that you've done the work. You know what they need. You know exactly what they're trying to achieve, and you have the stuff to do it because you've done it before.
So one can pull this off if they really know the background of this company and obviously know their trade or profession well enough to come up with those answers.
Yes, and
which is essential.
Exactly. And people think, the interview experts will say, well, you need to do some research. Go to their website and learn about the company.
Yeah,
but there's
interviewing.
There's so much more to that. You want to go to hoovers.com, thevault.com. You want to go on the NewYorkTimes.com, the Wall Street Journal. Read the articles about these companies. What's worked? What's failed? If it's a public company, try to find out who's doing the research on that company and that industry at some of the big Wall Street research banks. Call them. Say, I love what you wrote about so-and-so company. What do you think are their challenges coming up? What have they done recently that's been a success?
And then brainstorm solutions.
They would love to talk to you. Call a reporter who wrote an article about this company. Ask them, how did you do this research? What was your take on management? The more you know, the more you can present yourself as an invaluable solution. Plus, the interviewer will realize this person is not fooling around. They know what I want. And pretty much, I'd be a fool not to hire them because they're showing me that they can do exactly what I need.